into the broader population. Let's hear from the lady at the front.
Greetings, George. I'm Kim Sharif. I am a solicitor, and I am a human rights activist as well, been more at the forefront because of the Yemen situation. I'm originally from the south of Yemen, Hadramaut. I've grown up here, so all my education, everything is here. I'm more of a Rosalie Brown than I am perhaps a Hadramiya. I think one of the biggest issues that we're not addressing heads-on is hypocrisy. Hypocrisy, which is very dangerous for the international platform at the moment from legal perspective. I can tell you and guarantee you that this man who is staying in this hotel in Riyadh has no legitimacy settled. This is a long debate. Another time I'll be able to show you the evidence which I have. Secondly, the getting together and bombarding this country without express authority from the UN to use force is simply illegal. Thirdly, the blockade is just illegal. Therefore, because if the beginning of the actions and everything else that comes with it is therefore illegal, ab initio illegal, and anything that flows from it is illegal. What is now going on is genocide by this illegal blockade.
There's mass starvation as a result of this blockade.
Indeed. Now, where is the danger for us here in the UK? As an established, oldest democracy in the world, one of our core values is to uphold the rule of law and democracy. Now, we've stopped doing that. Of course, Blair has set precedent, as you said, in the case of Mr. Bandar bin Sultan. It's a clear case of criminal behavior. He should have been indicted. How you solve the issue later on is a matter, another day's conversation, but they haven't done that. Why is it dangerous for us here in the UK? We have an unwritten constitution. And where you have the executive taking the mickey out of the judiciary in that way, that means we are at risk. Okay? Furthermore, from the international platform perspective, we have a regime that is by definition a rogue regime, a known criminal. Because, let's just go to Justa law, for example. Justa law already identifies for us that the members of the Saudi regime were involved in 9/11. 9/11 was the beginning of this business of war against terror. So many people have been rectally fed, so many people have been disappeared, so much has happened since, and we all know. We've lost all our liberties here in the UK. All that I knew as basic classical English law has gone. We don't have that anymore. All of that to fight war on terror. Now, 16 years later, we discover that the criminal that we've been elusively coming after for so many years and destroying so many lives over the process of it happens to be who you just described as our best friend. Now, the decent thing to do after justice, especially now that it's been published and it's all known, the decent and honorable thing, the legal thing to do is indict this regime. Simple. It's a criminal behavior. You've got a rogue regime. Once you have a rogue regime, by definition, under international law, it is illegal to sell them weapons. Under international law, under European law, under UK law. And for your information, there is a case going on right now, brought to court by CAT, Campaign Against Arms Trade. And that is challenging the UK government's legal position vis-à-vis selling weapons or continuing to sell weapons to the Saudi regime in light of the Yemen situation. The problem that we're not addressing head-on is that this parliament has got us involved in a war without parliamentary approval. So there's so much more that I can tell you. There's so much hypocrisy and illegality going on, which is very, very dangerous for international relations, because we now have a system of absolute chaos, as simple as that. And what rules is rogue regimes like the Saudi regime that is supplying terrorism to the world. It is, because Taliban's are Wahhabis, Al-Shabaab's are Wahhabis, Boko Haram are Wahhabis, Daesh are Wahhabis, al-qaeda are Wahhabis. Everybody who does this kind of butchering anywhere in the world is a Wahhabi. It's a fact. For your own information, which is a very useful thing that has happened recently, beautiful, our brothers in the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah got together in a big conference in Chechnya where they denounced the Wahhabi regime as being outside the Sunnah. If it is outside the Sunnah, therefore, by definition, it is outside Shia. Therefore, it is not within the fold of Islam. So to call the Saudi regime Islamic is actually wrong. And therefore, I ask... I ask all civil societies and anyone who cares about this great country, which I love, it is my country, to stand up now and apply the law of this land and the law that we are obliged to comply with and apply, which is the international rules of law. To this day, we haven't actually Brexited. We are still within Europe. Therefore, we must apply these laws. And if we don't, then we are, by definition, criminals. If you aid and abet, if you know a known criminal, and you know he is a murderer, and then you go and give him knives and guns and bombs, what do you think he's going to do with it? Play with it in the garden? No, he's going to go and murder people. So by law, under English law, you are aiding and abetting a very serious crime, and you are a criminal. Now, by definition, from what is going on in the world today, we in Britain are really in a very, very dangerous and frightening situation. I ask my fellow Brits to stand up and say, let's restore the integrity of this parliament and the system of this country, and let's be what we used to be and stop playing with criminals and known hoodlums like the Saudi rogue regime. That's a butcher. You've said it. 16-year-old boy is sentenced to crucifixion, beheadings, hanging and quartering. Why? Because he just stood up and wanted to speak his mind. Is that allowed? Am I allowed to go and deal? This is, to me, paedophiliac of a kind. It's a brutal kind of paedophilia to me. It is child abuse. How can we go and have relations? I do understand here in Britain we've destroyed our industries in the 80s. We've got nothing left for us to export other than weapons and security. May I recommend that we make them the luxurious yachts and airplanes and private jets they love instead, because BAE can do that, and we will still make the money. And above all, our obligation is to stand now and apply the rule of law and prosecute this regime, because it is a criminal regime. Thank you.
Madam, in the 5 years I have been making this show, that was the best contribution from any audience member that I have ever heard.